My name is Laughlin, and for the first 23 years of my life, I was running from God and rejecting Him, making fun of basically anybody that wanted to have anything to do with Him. Because to me, it was nothing but a stupid, made-up story that only truly ignorant people could actually believe was true. I grew up in a Christian home. My mom and dad were both what I would consider at the time to be over-the-top Christians. We went to church every single Sunday. My dad read his Bible every night almost, and he would always talk to us about who God was, who Jesus was, who we were as people, and that we needed Him. And it irritated me every time that somebody was telling me what I needed, because I didn't need anything. And life to me was about what I could get out of it, and the fun that I could have, and the happiness that I could get for myself. And so as I grew older and I moved out, that's exactly what I built my life around. You know, constantly chasing after the next best thing that was going to give me a little high of happiness that was only going to last for a little while, then be on to something else. And I was very proud of myself. I thought I had built a very successful life. You know, I had the cars, I had the friends, the acceptance, the girls, whatever it was. I was very proud of myself because I tried very hard. And it wasn't until a guy came to work with me, a new guy, and he was different. And from the very beginning, I could tell he had none of the stuff that I thought, you know, and I equated to being successful. You know, pretty much had nothing to his name. A beat-up car that was ready to break down at any time. No friends. He lived in his sister's basement because he didn't have anything. He couldn't afford anything. But yeah, this guy had something that I quickly learned was something that I wanted. I didn't know how to get. He had peace and contentment and just joy about him, even though that he had nothing. And I started talking to him, and he told me about Jesus and about how he had came to Christ and surrendered his life to Him. And at the time it was stupid. I'm sitting here thinking this is dumb, but it still intrigued me, and it continued to bother me for a couple weeks about that I couldn't compete with him on it. That's something that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't compete. And finally got to the point one night I gave in, and I prayed for the first time in my life to God from my heart that if He was real, I wanted to know Him, and I was willing, and I wanted to know the truth. I didn't care what I had to give up or what I had to do, that I wanted to know Him. And the next morning I woke up and things were different. I started noticing all these little things about myself that were sinful and wrong, and knew why they were wrong. It was like I was seeing myself through somebody else's eyes, through God's eyes, and I felt ashamed and decided that I was going to change my lifestyle, and I was going to start not sinning and living better and trying to appease God, make Him happy. And that went on for about 2 weeks or so, and it finally caught up with me, and I had had enough. I mean, after numerous failures and numerous times of sinning and telling God I'm sorry, I don't want to sin anymore, I'm not going to do this again, and doing it again, I was ready to give up. And I got in my truck, and I drove and just started bawling and just being extremely mad at myself and just feeling like the biggest failure in the world, and just knowing that I could never measure up to His standard, and just knowing that no matter how hard I tried, I was never going to be good enough. And that was the first time in my life when I could ever say that I was hopeless. And in that moment, I was hopeless. And a song come on the radio about crying out to Jesus in your struggles and in your troubles and when you hit rock bottom. And it's like a light bulb went off right there. Everything made sense. That's why He came. That's why He died, for this moment right here for me. And I literally cried out to Him, and I said, forgive me and save me from myself. And I know He wasn't there in person with me, but there was a presence of somebody there that was with me, and I felt Him like wrap His arms around me and say, it's okay, I love you and I forgive you. And that just blew my mind, that the Creator of the universe in His perfect holiness could love a sinner like me and all the things I'd done in my life. And my tears of sadness and my tears of shame quickly went to tears of happiness and joy. And I had to call somebody, so I called my dad. Of all people, I called my dad, the guy that I didn't want to have anything as far as his religion to do with. And I called him, and he met up with me, and we talked about it, and I confessed everything to him. Everything I've ever done, everything that I was hiding from Him the whole time, and I had no fear, had no worry that anybody was judging me, and I knew that I was forgiven. And since that day, I haven't lived as a perfect Christian. There's been many trials and many times that I've fallen into sin and fallen short of His standard, but He's always been faithful to me. He's never left me, not once. He's always been there to lead me out of that sin and to draw me back to Himself and to show me His love and His mercy and that He has another plan for me. And that's the God I love, and that's the Lord that I desire to serve and to worship. You know, I went from a guy that basically hated the name of Jesus and didn't want to have anything to do with God and hated anybody that wanted to have anything to do with Him, to that's all I live for, and that's what I really want to do. And only God can do that. He's more than a story. He's real, and He's the truth that everybody needs. And if you haven't met Him personally, you are missing something, and you'll never find that in anybody else or anything else.